Well, hi everyone, and welcome to Rob Evans 365. It's day number 394, and it's Saturday here, Saturday night, and I'm tired. It seems like it's been a really long week for some reason. Today just felt weird. Do you ever have those days where things just feel a little bit weird? Not really sure why, but they just feel a little bit off, and um I don't know. We, I was up, I was up really early as usual this morning, and I had some early commitments with clients this morning, and I was doing some work on some web pages and so forth for the book, and it's been a freezing cold day here today, and it's still freezing. I think we got to a top of 9 degrees here, which is really cold. And I'll tell you in a second. We went down to a book fair, and there was sleet and heavy rain. It's raining again now on the tin roof that you might be able to hear. And the day just evaporated. It seemed. I spent the day with the kids, and we've had a nice time, but just feel really tired now. So let me pull apart the day. So every year they have this big book fair down at Yarragon. It's not as big as the one that they have in Bendigo, but they still have a lot of books there and a lot of people. And we've never been, within the first, I suppose, hour and a half or so of it opening. We've always been a bit later, and there were people everywhere walking out with bags and bags of books. And I found, actually, what did I buy? I think I got about 18 different books. I always go looking for things to do with self-help, growth, good recipe books, ones around, if there's any good ones around exercise, whatever. I didn't pick any of those up. This time I love the mindset stuff, and I also am building a bit of a library for each of the girls. So I love any books by people like Tony Robbins, Dr. Phil, Deepak Chopra, Jim Rohn, any of those, John Gray, anything to do with relationships and that kind of thing. The Chicken Soup for the Soul books. There's Chicken Soup for the Soul teenage books. I think we're missing one from that series for the girls, and there's a few other different authors that kind of draw me into them, and if I ever see them, I buy them. So I bought a couple of Dr. Phil books, the same books actually, for each of the girls, and when the time's right, I give them to them so that they can have a read and be impacted in their lives, like I have been by all of these authors, and doing it at an earlier age so that they can, get a real appreciation for the work that I've done on myself and how I am where I am now. So that's what I want to do, to be able to do for them as well. So that's an exciting prospect. So I think as I say, I think I got 18 books in total, a combination of different things. And it was cold and wet and miserable, and the kids didn't find any at this one, so they bought about 20 at the last one, but didn't really find any. I don't know if they were in the mood for it, to be honest. But anyway, I got some good things in there, and picked up one from actually Gillian Michaels, who I quite like. I'm meeting her later in the year over in LA. With what's his name? Oh gosh, Tony Tony Horton, and Gillian. So that'll be exciting. That's happening in November. So yeah, we just came back home. I took him to the bakery. Olivia didn't want anything. Emily, I wanted a pasty just to help warm her up, I think. And we came back home and had lunch, and then we kind of just, we stayed at home. It was so cold all day, so we snuggled up inside, and we're about to watch a movie shortly, and the day just disappeared. And I think what happened for me is today wasn't an exercise day because I was going to do the cardio, really lacking in my 10,000 steps today. I just didn't happen. And maybe that's one of the ways why I feel a little bit off. I feel a little bit bloated, to be honest, and maybe I just haven't moved enough. I'm only up to about 6,000 steps, maybe less than that at this stage of the night, so it's not going to dramatically change from there. So that's part of it. And then tonight I had a couple of, that's right, lunchtime. The girls made some, at their mum's, they made some rice balls, and they wanted me to have one. So I had a rice ball, and tonight I made a couple of dim sims for the girls, and Olivia didn't want hers, so I ate those. And I think it's those that are haunting me, to be honest. So I was like, I hate waste, so I had those. They were steamed ones, and not really huge ones, just your normal size. And I think because the last 40, 50 days, I've been so focused on my food, like everything that's going in is such high quality, and I've been feeling really fantastic, that they're feeling like a knot inside my belly. I'll be okay, but I just, I feel a bit bleh. And it just goes to show you when you're so used to the high performance fuel going into you, when that mix changes, what that can do to you. It's not a particularly awesome feeling. So I think I'm going to make tomorrow a cleanse day, so it won't be an issue. Normally I make it Monday, but taking the girls away for the night, we're going to spend the night in the city just for something different. The day tomorrow in the city, and then the night in the city as well. And we've got a nice breakfast lined up for us on Monday morning, so I thought it might make sense to do a cleanse tomorrow, and then we have our nice breakfast, which is always nice. Don't have to rush on Monday, and just take our time and enjoy each other's company. We don't get to do that often. I've never taken them to stay in the city before, so that'll be a nice experience for them. So we're just going to go do a little bit of shopping tomorrow, and then hang out in the motel and its facilities. There is a gym there, so I might go do a workout. So that'll be a bit of fun. And so I think that's probably it. My fluids have been up well today, so I've done over the 1.5, 2 litres of water today. But I think it's just those other couple of little things. My body is sensitive to change, especially when I've been feeling so good for such a long time now. I've chucked a couple of those things in. It makes me feel bloated. I'm really noticing it. It's a surprise for me, actually. So, yeah. And what else has been going on today? I've been working on the landing pages for the book, and building some all the videos and stuff for the exercise in there. And it's just such a time-consuming process, just by virtue of how long it takes the system to save the photos and everything. I've got to resize them and everything. It's like each one is about 2 minutes. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's a lot longer, and there's about 100 photos, so you can work out how long that's going to take. Just do a couple here and there, and do other things in the background. So that's a painful process, but anyway, it's almost there, I think, in that regard, which is cool. And something I did want to talk about very soon, because it's the anniversary this week, 50 years for the landing on the moon, and that's pretty special. And I've got something I want to talk about in a couple of days. I think it's the 17th. I think the actual moon landing was the 19th or the 20th of, could have been the 20th of July 1969. But there's something that happened on the 19th that I want to talk about. So I won't spoil that. But right now, I'm just glancing at the TV, and I can see that Apollo 13 is on the TV. So that's a good movie. There's Tom Hanks in it. Tom Hanks is one of my favourite actors. I really like him. And it's a cool movie. It helps you really understand what they went through back in, well, this is 1970 when this happened. It was Apollo 11 that landed on the moon, and this is Apollo 13. I think Apollo 12 blew up, I think. And this is Apollo 13. So it's an interesting movie, interesting times. But anyway, we'll talk about landing on the moon another time. One other thing that I wanted to talk about today is I was in the supermarket yesterday, and I had to. So I ordered my groceries online, but you can't order a hot chicken online. So I normally buy a hot chicken and take off the skin, divide it all up for the freezer, and so I have to get those separately. And I have been getting some great frozen veggies from Aldi's supermarket, and some salads that they make up that are really cheap as well, just for super convenience. And of course they don't deliver, and you can't get everything at Aldi. So I normally drop in on the way home from the gym, just a quick, literally probably a 7-minute, leave the car, in, buy, out from the car kind of thing. And as I was walking I was walking from Aldi to go over to, it was Coles, to get the chicken. And I was thinking, we are so lucky. We are so lucky that we can just determine what it is that we want in terms of our food, and pretty easily, we don't even have to leave the house really. We can have that food, we have access to that food almost immediately. And I was thinking about the salads that I had just bought from the supermarket, and I was thinking about the the amazing vegetables mixtures and stuff that they had. And then I reflected back to when I was a child, and the types of mixes, like pre-packaged salads and stuff, they didn't exist when I was a kid. I reckon that's only been the last sort of 5 years maybe that they've been around. The types of packet vegetables that existed before, well, you were pretty much limited to things like peas and corn and carrot, and sometimes there might be a peas and corn mixture or something like that, but it was pretty rare. I mean, now with the stir fries and that we have available, like the ones that I get. I mean, I'm getting grilled ones now, which have got some extra seasoning in them, and we're just really lucky. And then when you think about your packaged meats and the array of fresh fruit and vegetables that are just there in the shops, and yet as I'm walking in to Coles and seeing all this fresh food, I'm thinking, and yet most of the world is still overweight. Most of my township is overweight. 2/3 are overweight or obese. It's the same sort of stats for Australia as well. And it's like, well, how is that possible really when there is so much healthy choice that is just there? And you think back to, early times before supermarkets existed and so forth, and how hard it was for people to get access to all their food. They had to grow it all. I think back to last time I was at Reppenlee, and we went to the Reppenlee estate in Victoria here, and we went to a tour, and they had acres and acres and hundreds of staff people looking after the, like growing vegetables and fruit and harvesting the meat and all that kind of stuff. They employed staff specifically to just, harvest meat and look after all the plant-based foods, because they were entertaining at this estate. And so, they couldn't just order more fruit and vegetables. That had to be grown, and they had to grow it. And of course that took time. I mean, you can't grow all the fruits and vegetables all year round, because they're just not seasonal in Victoria, at all times of the year. So I guess the cooks had to be creative about what was available and what wasn't available, etc., etc. So I walked into the store and thinking about these things and thinking, well, we're so lucky to live in a society that we do, and yet so many people make the wrong choice. They choose perhaps the sugary, fatty, processed option, and then so I'm in the store now, and I'm looking to the left of this store, and it's got all the fruit and vegetables, the fresh and your deli and all that kind of stuff. And then you look to the right, and the rest of the aisles are pretty much made up of your processed food. So in terms of the volume of the supermarket, the volume is occupied by things that are either practical for the home, like cleaning products and those types of things, or pet food, or the other parts are just all the different processed options. And I don't know what the actual percentage of products, if you just looked at the food, what percentage would be healthy versus unhealthy, but for a fact that it's going to be like a third to 2/3 or something like that. The unhealthy options are going to far outweigh the healthy options, but we have so much free, easy choice available to us. We just choose not to do it. And then if you listen back to the podcast when I was over in Los Angeles, I was just blown away by the fact that the US is the fattest country in the world, and yet everywhere I went, I was just blown away by how easy it was to make super healthy choices. When you look at like cafes and restaurants and stuff, I mean, they just don't do this here, and that's having if you like, that was called something like, I'll say Light Start, it wasn't that, but like healthy Light Start menu. And the first place that we went to was Coco's Cafe, and they had a whole healthy section for, everything, but we were looking for breakfast, and the egg white omelette with feta cheese and fruit, and it was amazing. It was like really, really beautiful. And there were a heap more options that weren't healthy, but every single meal had the calories clearly displayed on the meal. I mean, every place we went to, the details were outlined the same. And then when we went to Target to get the groceries and stuff, a big red dot or a big dot with white writing, or making it very clear on the very front of every single thing that we picked up in terms of, let's say it was a sandwich or a wrap, or I cut up fruits and vegetables in, like trays and stuff. They just made it so easy. All their salads were massive that they sold in the supermarkets compared to here. Like you didn't seem to really be able to get small ones. They were all, quite sizable. They had cut up veggies and stuff that we were using as snacks. Everything had the calories on it. The drinks, they had the calories displayed on it as well, right on the front. It's like, how can you get it wrong? And yet, so many people do. And so many people choose the alternate option, whether it be for flavour or sugar or whatever. I was just like, wow, this is amazing to think that there is so much choice here for us. So it made it easy for me. So I was feeling grateful for the fact that, I didn't have to go out there and, slaughter animals, hunt for animals or anything like that, and then, prepare them for eating. That was all done for me. The same with the vegetables. I didn't have to go out and, find those. I didn't have to grow them all myself. And the speed at which you can put together very healthy meals now with, take your frozen veggie mixes, for instance. So many different combinations there that all you have to do is cut the top off and stick it in the dish, or stick it in my case, I stick it in the microwave, or sometimes in the stir fry itself. And it's done. I don't have to cut up all the other different veggies and stuff. That's not required. So it's just so easy, and yet so few people choose to do it on a consistent basis, to live that healthy lifestyle. So it was a compelling moment for me, I think, to just reflect on how we live and how lucky we are, yet we still seem to not be getting it wrong, and it can be hard to work out why that is. What's the real reason for people that they choose not to go the alternate choice? And I know, obviously, dealing with clients on a daily basis, that people don't necessarily know what to eat. People have the busy lifestyles, all that kind of thing. And maybe it's just a kind of a sense of laziness and convenience of these other fast foods and so forth, that people just choose to go down that path. But I think if only, my wish would be to be able to have a dramatic impact on people's healths in a way, just so that they could get a glimpse, if you like, as to what it feels like to have that more energy and a greater level of health and vitality. To know that when you're on the other side of that, it's like, man, why would I want to live that way? It's like me with the bloating of 2 dim sims. The last thing I want to do now is go and eat more dim sims. I want to go back to doing what I was doing before, because I feel so amazing. I think when people feel that, then they're less likely to make the alternate choices. But I also know what it's like, that people will get into that rut, the routine, that sense of addiction to sugar and that kind of stuff, that it's just making that first step can be the hardest part. But I tell you, if you felt as good as me, then you wouldn't want to live any other way. And it's not hard work for me. It's not. It's just not hard work. It's just the choice that I make to live my life that way. It's just like me saying, well, you living your life that way is really difficult. Well, that's the way that you're choosing to live your life. It's your life as you know it, and you're living it, and you're enjoying what it is that the way that you're living. I choose to live the way that I do, and I don't know any different because it's just the way that I choose, and this is how I operate at my best. And that's why I'll never stop, because it just fills me up with everything that I want, and that's the beautiful gift of life, I feel. So maybe tonight I'm reflecting on it because of feeling a little bit bloated right now, thinking about how easy we have it in life today to live a healthy lifestyle, yet we choose not to. I mean, can you imagine living back in the day where you had to go and hunt for everything, you had to grow everything? I mean, you say, well, yes, you wouldn't be overweight, but yeah, there was a lot more people starving as well. So, and not living as well, living as long, sorry. But people were certainly more active because you had to go and work in the fields and plant your food and hunt for your food as well, and then take more time preparing it because there were no microwaves or anything, so everything took longer, and you probably made dishes out of leftovers and that kind of stuff. But it was a different era in terms of the quality that we had in our foods as well, because most of the foods would have been more homegrown, would have been more nutrient rich. They wouldn't have been genetically modified because that hadn't been invented then. It just would have been a case of more wholesome foods, probably eating more vegetables and so forth, because they would have been cheaper than the protein, just like it is now. It's the cheaper part of the meal, but it was just a different era, and I think we're just so lucky to have what we do. I mean, the technology and everything that we have, that's incredible, but on the other hand, it can be having a negative impact on our lifestyles as well. Like I mentioned about the TV. The TV is on. I have this incredible device in my hand called the mobile phone, which is like such a powerful computer. Like there's more capability and technology in this phone than there was in the Apollo 13 computers that took the rocket to the moon. And that just seems ridiculous, doesn't it? But yet I'm carrying this in my hand right now. So, I mean, I'm very grateful for what we have. The books that I got today, so grateful for having people invest their time and knowledge and passion to put it into a book. I know what it has meant to me to get my knowledge and thoughts out into a book. I know how long it takes. It takes people a decade or probably more to get their first book done because there's just so much involved. So I'm grateful for all those things, and yet we're all surrounded by the same resources. It's just we aren't being resourceful. We're not making the most of our the opportunities that are around us, unfortunately, and our health is deteriorating more and more. So I don't know, it all comes down to choices, doesn't it? The choices that we make to take our life one way or another. And I guess today my choice of dim sims has perhaps having that impact on how I feel right now. So that's my Saturday night thoughts out. You have a great day, and I'll report to you tomorrow from the city, and I'll have some special guests possibly then with me as well. So have a fantastic, fantastic night, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'll talk to you tomorrow.